Hello everyone, this is the Talking Mode. My name is Sarah and alongside with me is Caroline.
Hello everyone, welcome back to our channel. So tonight's episode, we're going to talk about education and we'll give you a little look into the Vietnamese curriculum and all the tips and tricks that we have for studying effectively.
Okay, let's get started. So, Caroline, how have you been these days?
To be honest, it's been quite difficult because I was quarantined inside my house, and so it's like being imprisoned in a sense. But yeah, but it was the best thing to do.
But do you have any problems or difficulties while you studying at home?
Actually, speaking of studying, I feel like I have a lot of difficulties because like virtual online learning is a very new thing for us because even though last year Vietnam also suffered from COVID-19, but we still could go to school. But this time, like everything was very stressful and very intense, so we didn't have a chance to really study offline, and so everything was brought online virtually. So I feel like the interaction was not there, and also I sometimes misunderstood what the teachers and the tutors said. So that's unfortunate. But do you have anything difficulties in particular?
Well, regarding online learning, there's lack of interaction, right?
Yeah.
It's just really hard sometimes to just focus on the subject. Sometimes you're being distracted by all other devices, like the notifications from Facebook or Instagrams. Yeah, I feel like it's kind of hard, but
Agree.
it's something that we have to do. Yeah,
Yeah.
everything is conducted online, and
Yeah.
look at see now, like even at your region, there's no, like you cannot go outside, right?
Yeah, I cannot. I cannot.
Mm.
I was just thinking because next year we're gonna be seniors, right? So
Yeah.
I feel like it would be a quite an interesting journey. But I want to ask you like if you have any plans for this study next year because I know that it's very stressful.
Well, plans. I'm not very good at making plans, but one thing that I know for sure is that I'll try to keep my GPAs as stable as as much as possible, like last year. Um, in terms of studying, I think that um, I need to start making plans like you. I'm not very good at making
No,
that.
that's not really
Everything is
planned.
just like, look at your notions. It's like,
Oh, Notion is a very interesting app. You should try it. It's very
yeah,
beautiful.
I take note of that if you haven't known.
Yeah.
And also, if you want tips on, plannings or making lists, like Caroline, it's like she's an expert at that.
But there's different types of people. Like I am a planner. I like to plan things out before I start because like that just make me to be more organized and because I can't remember all the like things I need to do, and so like listing it out really helps. But maybe like you have a better memory than mine, so you can remember everything, so you don't need to make lists. That's that's fortunate, you know?
Well, I hope so. Well,
But really,
I remember making podcasts for our podcastees. I
yeah,
remember that. Yeah. So last minute. Remember how we planned, like how we came up with this podcast name?
yeah, I know. Like right before we press the start to record, like 5 minutes, 5 minutes before that.
How ironic. Here we are talking, well, giving tips on
Yeah,
studying,
yeah.
and and we're so bad at remembering. It's like one of the core thing in studying in Vietnam, right?
But because we are all perfectionists, you know, like we have
Yeah.
many names, but we just can't narrow down to the one that we like, and so we have to go with the flow. Hence the birth of the talking mode.
So yay, that's like
Yeah,
a huge
everything happens for a
achievement.
reason.
Yeah.
But really, do you have any like specific plan you want to study? Like, because next year we're gonna like have an exam on math, literature, and English, right? And so, do you have any specific plan on when you will begin to study?
Yeah. So for those of you who don't know about this, in Vietnam, we so seniors in Vietnamese high schools, we have to choose like the the
Field
group of
study?
subjects. Yeah, it's like the group of subjects, right?
Yeah.
That we want to take in, because it's relating to um the choice of what you want to be in the future. Like if you want to study to become a doctor, then you study math, biology, and chemistry.
Yes.
Yeah, they have different groups of subjects. So yes, we are currently in the English major class, and um, it's needless to say we are in Group D, which includes math, literature, and English.
Yeah.
So my plans for next year, I'm starting to take math extra class in the summer. It is conducted online, yes. So um, it's kind of the speed is kind of slow because there are so many knowledges that I have to take in, and it's online. So mostly I have to self study, yeah, and the teacher is just there for guiding and explaining what I don't understand through my self study session at home. Yeah.
Like you start very early, to be honest. Like I haven't started yet, and I'm not intending to start any sooner. Because like I just have so many things to do beside studying. Yeah, so I don't know how about that, but I feel like we'll get there. Like we'll do it. We will do it
Yeah,
eventually.
sometimes, yeah, sometimes it's you just get there, just and then you just go with the flow,
Yeah,
and then you just get over it. I mean,
right.
there's a lot of things that we stress about, but it's sometimes there's no need to be, right?
Mhm.
I mean, if you really know what it's your goal and know where you're going, then I think with enough motivation you can do it.
Yeah, makes sense. Because also like the time will push you and force you to do what you're supposed to do. Like when it's time to study, you will know when it's time to study. Okay, talking. I feel like we should talk about the advantages and disadvantages of this way of study.
Yeah.
You know.
Okay, so I think first we'll go into like all the subjects that we have
Mhm.
studied, right? And we are going to study in next year. So you wanna give our
Okay.
podcast
Okay.
tease a head start on that?
I can. Okay. So we divided into two different groups: the science group and the social science group. So the science group includes math, physics, and chemistry, while the social science includes history, geography, literature, English, etc., etc. So the way to study each group is very different. So for me, when I study the science group, meaning math, physics, and chemistry, I feel like I need to do a lot of practice tests and a lot of like memorizing the formula and the equations and the different atoms and substances, you know. But when we study social science like literature, geography, and history, we need to use our critical thinking to analyze the textbook, and also to, because there's a lot of information regarding this group, like the social science group. So we need to decide which information is necessary and which is unnecessary. Does that make
Yeah.
sense?
Yes. Yeah, it does a lot. A lot of
Hopefully.
sense.
Like 12 years of studying.
Yeah, so for many of you who probably don't know, in Vietnam, we in like Vietnamese high school, we still need to take all the subjects. Yes, not
Yeah.
like in some countries where you only need to take a few subjects. How
Because
many
that we
subjects do we have?
14,
How many subjects do we have? 14. Yeah,
I would
that
say.
sounds like a lot.
Yeah. Like
Yeah.
when we talk about all the P and the citizenship, is that a
Yeah, civics. Yeah, civic study,
Yeah,
right?
civics.
Yeah,
Civic study, yeah. Oh my god, citizenship. I'm so bad at this.
I mean, the subjects has a lot of names
Yeah, a
in
lot
terms
of
of
names.
translating. Yeah, but truly, it's about studying about like before we study about morals and stuff like that. Like, and then now it's more like what you should do as
Economy wise, economic
yeah.
related.
I don't
Yeah.
know. Sometimes it's also about the history.
Yeah.
So it's all sorts of things. Yeah, it's like
So
studying politics.
yeah, sometimes I don't really know what we're studying, to be honest, because like it's so diverse and it doesn't conclude in one term, not like math or physics or chemistry. Like we need to study the specific field of study, but like civic study and PE, we like study all over the place, which is good, but which
Yeah.
is bad at the same time.
Okay, so now we'll be moving on to the good points as well as the improving points of these subjects, right?
Yeah, I feel like we should talk about that because I have a lot of things to say about this, to be honest.
Yeah, so now we're not really talking about the subject itself, but the way we are learned, right? We are taught to. So yeah, just a little disclaimer.
Yeah, because we're not like experts in education or something. We're just
we're not really talking about the content of like the knowledge that's given to us. We're talking about how we are how those knowledges are transferred to us, right? And how we really learn them.
So what do you think are the advantages of the Vietnamese method of studying? Yeah, it is like a holistic way of study because like we are expected to become well-rounded students, like we have to know a lot.
And in Vietnam, math is a very, very important subject. Right? I mean, it is regarded so highly. It's like in the hierarchy, math would like in the first, like at the top.
Yeah, at the top, like the king of the subject. Like
Yes.
I feel like there's reasons behind that, but I feel like that has become a stereotype almost, like especially in Asian households. My dad always tells us that like when you want to study any subject, just focus on math and do it well, and then you will know how to study the rest of the subject. So
yeah, because this is the study of logic, of reasonings, and yeah, and we can apply it to almost anything. Remember that time when we bake and we have all these measures, like
Yeah.
we have to
You need to
divide the
convert it.
recipes in
Yeah.
halves. Yeah, and yeah, I mean, it's we can use like math in everyday life.
Mm.
Sometimes you use it without acknowledging it.
Yeah, I know. Got it. Like I agree, but yeah, I just point out one stereotype that is uh that is existent in today's society. But other than that, I
Mm.
don't have much to say about math because that's very useful.
So regarding the science subject,
Okay.
what do you feel like? What do you think about the way that those subjects
A
um
thought, a thought.
yeah are taught, right? So
Okay.
what do you think about that?
So I feel like it's very dry, almost like because those subjects are very concrete, are very edgy. So they are very specific. They are very definite. Yes is yes and no is no. Like there's multiple ways that you can approach it, but there's only one answer most of the times. And so I feel like that also conveys when teachers teach those subjects. They usually just write all the formulas and all the
Mm,
structures.
right. Do
Yeah.
do you feel like we are being forced to do in a specific way instead of explore all of the ways and then find the one that's best suited us? Do you think that? Do you think that we are like being forced to do in a very that way, that very strict way of doing? Do you feel like that?
I feel like yes, we are being forced, but like I don't know how to say this, but like because when the teachers present to you a specific way to do things, that is usually the shortest and the most effective way to solve that problem. And so in a sense, that is also the quickest way and the most effective way. So that means that we don't need to find out the optimal method again, but in a sense, because like teachers repeat that method over and over again, and it becomes so well known that we almost feel like that is the only way to solve that problem. You know what I mean? So in a sense,
Yes,
we
I
are
do.
forced. Yeah, we are
So like
forced
I
to.
think
Yeah.
that sometimes we are like in math, I think the beauty of math is that there are so many ways of approaching the
Yes.
problem.
Yes.
And here sometimes we just really focus on the answer.
Hmm.
And I mean it loses all of its meanings. Rather than maybe you have time to discover more ways and you actually come to an understanding of something more larger than, just this answer itself.
Agree.
Yes.
Agree.
I mean, I can see that in my little brother. He, thing is, he knows sometimes he knows how to do that math. But like when I ask about, do you really understand it? And then can you really tell me how you do it? And in the way he explains it to me, I feel like it's very, I don't know, it's very
Right.
structure. I mean, it's
Mm.
it's like structure in some way. It's not him telling me.
Yeah.
It's
It's like
yeah,
him
it's kind of
memorizing
strange.
the method and then talking back to
Yeah,
you.
and then sometimes he apply that way of solving the problem into all of the problems. He doesn't
Got it.
really
Got it.
think. Yeah, he doesn't like it. Doesn't I don't know if he has any really understand the matter like clearly, and in order to expand it and solve because math there are no like the same questions in math,
Yes.
right?
Yeah.
There's
There are
so
ways
like
out of things.
various, yeah. And he just applies one way to all of the subject and all of the math questions, and it's wrong. Yeah,
Mm.
and it's not very like if that's the way he he reasons and he solves math, it's really, really hard. Okay, so next we're going to talk about social science, right?
Yeah. So what do you
So
think about our way of learning? May I ask?
okay, okay. So as a English major student,
Okay.
yeah, we are like, I don't know, we're like stereotyped as students who are very good at social science, and that is, I mean, partly true, right? Although not really in our class, because I feel like in our class they're just so good at science. So
Are.
no, I'm very I don't know,
No, you are.
mediocre. I was like, really?
You are.
No, no. Remember that time? Okay. Caroline, remember that time? After
What
that,
time? You
Kevin,
have many
that's
times.
how.
Many times
Okay,
in
anyway.
lifetime. Anyway.
Okay, anyway. We tend to drift into different subjects. Yeah, you can see that. It's probably the reason why we started this thing. It's because I mean, purposefully adrift, right?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Oh, fun fact, that was intended to be our name for this podcast, like purposefully adrift.
Yeah, it's
Oh,
it's
our
short.
initials,
It's like yeah, it's like initials P and A.
PNA.
Some of you might wonder why it's supposed to be S and C, but anyway, we have so many names, and we'll
Okay,
explain it
okay.
to you in probably sometime in the future. Yes. Okay. Okay. Back to social science. Um. Okay. 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 Um. So I think that um, in terms of learning social science, some of us are really studying it the just for the results, right? We just sometimes we don't really understand the issues, and we just sort of rote learning. We just learn
Mm.
it, and then yeah, we force ourselves to digest all of that. I mean, do you remember every time when we have like a social science subject test, and then the day before that we just cram all of those things, and you can see that in many students, right? Like civic
Every
study
student.
or history, or yeah, it's in every student they tend to have that as like perception, right? Like that
Hmm.
that social science are just study subject, except for English, which you also study, but it's kind of different because it's a language um, subject. But like with history, many students, many of our peers, they really listen to what the teachers are teaching, or even if they did, they just really don't care much, except for some of them are really interested in the subject. Then yeah.
So yeah, like the main reason why they study this subject is because, in a sense, because they are forced to do so, you know? Like they just study
Yeah.
it for the grades and not the actual meaning and the actual reason behind that. For
Yes.
example, history, you know?
Yeah. So like with history, they think that every knowledge is in the book, right?
Yeah.
You open, and all the dates there, or the um all
Events.
the events are there. Yeah, all the events are there. And with especially with history, they regard it as a memory subject. Like the better your memory, the higher the score,
Mm.
right? But
And
and I
because
think that that's actually, yeah. Go on.
like I was about to say, like, because of that, I feel like students are regarding history and geography lower than the other subjects. You know, they're considered like inferior subjects compared to math, physics, and chemistry. And so that circles back to the stereotypes that I mentioned before. Like students who major in those subjects like history and geography, they are almost considered as failures in a sense. Like not to be
Yes.
overly negative, but that's the society considers.
Yeah, that's the way that the society is shaping what the students what yeah, because we are shaped like that way since we're in uh
The womb.
like very young, since we're in elementary school.
Yeah.
and and sometimes it is the way that we are being taught that subject that shape our thinking. Because how, like, because for example, if you're new to the subject and then every time when there's like a test coming up and then the teachers just tell you to study this and then they give you, you know, the question just based on that, and then you're just thinking, you right, if even if the society like doesn't shape that for you, then you just shape it for yourself based on what you really study, right?
Mm-hmm.
I think it's the approach of yeah, the teaching and the all the whole
The whole
curriculum.
process. The whole
It
process.
Yeah,
Yeah.
even sometimes I feel like the teachers think that way too.
Mm.
And they don't, yeah, and they don't give us more like different ways or different approaches to learn them. For example, if you really like history, or like if you really study deeply about history, you see that there are more than just the dates or the events.
Agree.
Yeah, it's the I feel like it's because it's a science of sequencing the all the events, and then it's like when you study them you have this um knowledge, and then you can link it with the between the past and the future, and you can apply it to, you know, what you've learned to the future. Because I believe that history repeats itself, and
Mm-hmm.
studying them are just really helpful and in a way, yeah.
Okay, so like I feel like because we are talking about all the disadvantages, people would be like, so why do we study? Why do we
Right.
study, yeah, those subjects?
Do you have a theory for that? What do we study?
I feel like we can divide it into two different groups, like because we're talking about two different groups of fields of study, like science and social science. I feel like for science subjects, we study them because they teach us how to think. Yeah, pretty much because you know, not just you think. It like thinking is everyone can think, but think in a very critical and logic way. So that's I feel like it's what those subject teachers teach us the majority of times. But when it comes to social science, I feel like they teach us about the past for a reason. Like when I agree with you saying that history repeats itself. Yeah, I really believe in that. And also when you study those subjects, I just feel like you are studying the world around us, and because we are a part of the world, it's best that we know part of it, even a part of it. And I think like history and geography are there for that reason, along with English, because English is kind of the language now. It has become the language of the world, like the global language. And so when we're studying English, we are also studying the world itself. You know, does that make sense? I feel like I'm
Yes.
going over a place.
Yeah. No, it's okay. Yeah, yeah, I understand you perfectly. Maybe probably because we're friends for so long, right?
Thank you. Yeah, we are.
Okay. Okay. So do you, I think now we should talk about how we should like improve the way of teaching and as well as learning those subjects,
Okay.
right? Because
That is a very
so
deep question.
do you have a suggestion as for
Question.
how to learn math or physics or chemistry, like science and
Okay.
yeah.
Okay, I do. Like from my 11 years of study, I feel like the best way to study those subjects is to really understand them. Like for me, for example, when we are learning about geometry, for example. So, oh no,
Right.
geometry is very hard. We regard algebra now, algebra. So, the teacher gives you this specific formula, this specific equation. So instead of just analyzing, instead of just memorizing that equation and like learning it by heart, I suggest you to really understand why that formula is the way it is. For example, why this why this way of, like, it's very hard to explain these subjects, but I think that the best tip is to really understand why it is the way it is. For example, when in chemistry, you have to understand how the atoms and the substances interact with each other instead of just memorizing how they interact with each other. So yeah, I feel like keep asking the question why and really make sure that you understand it and not learning it by
Yeah.
heart. Yeah.
So
And the
yes, so basically
yeah,
that's, I think that's like the answer for like learning every subject, right? So study
yeah,
for what it really is, not what it is
mm,
supposed to be or what it is dictated. Yeah, just study for what it really is. And right. How about social science? Do you think, do you have any like solutions to study social science subjects better?
social science. I feel like that's hard because as we've talked about, like it is pretty much the way. If we want to change the way we study things, it must change first with the way we are taught things, like from the way teachers teach us the knowledge. So for now, I would say the best tip is try to memorize. Like it's sad to say so, but for Vietnamese students, I feel like it is the best way, the best thing that we can do because the education system hasn't changed. And so if we change the way we study, then that would be very smart. But if you want to take further your study, further your knowledge, then go ahead. But if you want to maintain the high grades, the good grades, then I would say just memorize it. I feel like that's such a bad advice, but because we are taught that way, and yeah,
Yeah,
I don't know.
or else you could, if you, I think that paying attention in the class, it's also a good way because some, even though that the curriculum it's like that, but there are many passionate teachers that really want to transfer all that knowledge to you. And the thing is, you need to do your part first, right? Just
Yes,
pay attention to what they really are telling you, and then I feel like you don't, so not cramming for tests, because
yes,
cramming it's,
agree.
yeah, it's cramming, it's like you really don't understand it, and it's very, it, in the long run, like if you have something, you cannot really deal well with just cramming. It's very last minute, and you just, just when you get out, like when you finish your test and you forget everything. And
Yes,
what is the purpose in study when you're just there for the scores? So I think that I suggest maybe when we learn, you take a few notes after, just right after the session ended, and try to see, like to see how much you really remember, and then later, then you can open the book and then fill in some of um the space that you have missed. Yeah.
mm-hmm. Got it. But also I feel like if we are passionate about a particular subject, we will find way to understand that subject more. For example,
Yes.
yeah, English, because we major in English and I'm pretty interested in that subject. So like I find ways to really dive deep into the English culture, not just the language itself. And so there's very many different answers to this question, but I feel like just do your best and figure out your system of study.
Yes. So, what we're trying to say is that just be motivated, right? Find the joy in learning. Find
Yes.
your purpose in learning. Yes. So that's like the ultimate
The
solution
ultimate.
to all
Yeah.
yeah, the ultimate solution to all the problems.
Not
Right.
all of them, just our side of the problem, not the other side. You know what I mean?
Yeah. But being motivated, it
Yeah.
helps most of the time.
It's hard, but like it's possible. Yeah, you just have to think about why you need to study. Like if you study, where will it get you, like in the future? Because especially in
Mm.
Asian culture, societies, like study is the only way that you can succeed. Like it's very
Yes.
sad to say so, but it is true. Unless you study abroad or something, I feel
Like
like.
I think even if you study abroad, you still need to
Yeah.
focus a lot on your study, right?
Yes.
And I think that you just need to find your purpose. And
Mm.
even though the curriculum is that way, just do your part first. Do what
Yes.
you are, yeah,
Like
what you
do
are
your
supposed to do first.
and do what you can control.
Yes, because you cannot change anything but yourself, right?
Yes. Oh my God, this just turned into a lecture or something.
Yeah, we're not trying to create that effect, but
But like
we
because
tend to.
yeah, no. Oh, we tend to. Yes, we tend to.
We
But
do tend to do that.
yeah, but that's when you know it's a great conversation, I feel like. Because when you can dive deep into the core problem of the problem. So I feel like that is the end of the episode, right?
Yeah.
We
So
pretty much
I
covered
think
all
that's we should wrap it up, and we'll
Yes.
see you guys on our next episode. So
Okay.
stay
tuned.
yeah. So I'll say stay tuned and stay safe and stay awesome too.
Okay.
We need to really work on
that's
that.
cool. That's cool. Oh my God. Okay. Bye.
Okay. Bye.